East Midlands English is a traditional dialect with modern local and social variations spoken in those parts of the Midlands loosely lying east of Watling Street, separating it from West Midlands English, north of the variable isogloss of the variant of Southern English of Oxfordshire and East Anglian English of Cambridgeshire, and south of another that separates it from Yorkshire dialect. This covers approximately the East Midlands of England. Origins: the Eastern English Midlands were incorporated in the Norse-controlled Danelaw in the late 9th century by Evert the Boneless. With their conquest, the county towns of the East Midlands counties were converted into fortified Viking city-states, known as the Five Boroughs of the Danelaw. The region's dialect owes much of its grammar and vocabulary to the Nordic influences of its conquerors. For example, the East Midlands verb to scrate is thought to be derived from the Norse skrik in modern Scandinavian, also meaning to cry. Grammar: those who speak traditional regional dialects are not trying unsuccessfully to speak standard English. East Midlands English follows a series of distinct grammatical rules. Some examples follow below. Formal address: until the mid-20th century, it was not uncommon to hear the use of informal forms of address, the and thou, as compared to the more formal you. Use of the informal form of address is now uncommon in modern speech. Personal and possessive pronouns. Personal pronouns differ from standard English as follows. Example: it, ent, than, its own. Reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are characterized by the replacement of self with sen, usen, yourself, mesen, myself, thisens, themselves, yourselves, usens, ourselves. Example: we sh to do it usens. Quote, miscellaneous: it is very common to hear people replacing the word of with on. The word to on m, get hold on m. Dialectal words. Humorous texts, such as Nottingham as it is spoke, have used the phonetically spelled words to deliberately confuse non-natives of the region. All right, youth. Are you all right, young man? Here, all right is a spelling designed to convey the phonological specification in the traditional dialect of right, which is riti, and a slight diphthonging of I. /. Avya agora wia, is the wife with you. The pronunciation wja with weak form with is alleged to be more common in Nottingham and the South East Midlands. Pronunciations with th fronting in with are alleged to be more common elsewhere. Th fronting became a potential feature of the accents of the region in around 1960. The humorous spellings are designed to indicate h dropping, the northern t to r rule, and y, the non-standard weak form of with, which is common to many dialects in England. It's black over Bill's mother's it looks like rain. A common, if somewhat old-fashioned, Midlands expression implying impending bad weather. The spelling over chosen to indicate the phonological specification in the traditional dialect of over. That sum it up: we him I think he may be ill. The spellings here chosen to indicate the northern feature that e is a monophthong, the non-standard English word per second met, which is historically found in many dialects across England. The weak form of with previously mentioned an h dropping. Yeah, no toffees. You aren't having any toffees. Humorous spellings here were chosen to indicate the northern T to R rule and the phonological specification in the traditional dialect of have, which is e. However, there are many words in use in the traditional East Midlands dialect which do not appear in standard English. The short list below is by no means exhaustive. More comprehensive glossaries exist within texts such as A Up Me Duck by Richard Scallons and John Titford. Naught, niti, nothing, naught, nt. Of General English, niti is a traditional dialect phonological specification and nt is the regular development in General English. Ort, et, anything, nesh a weak person, or one who feels a cold. Found in many parts of England, cf. Its use in hardy, belt job, easy job, coursey pavement, cob bread roll, compared to a cob loaf, which is baker's term used across the UK for hemispherical loaf, to throw, clouts trousers, jetty, alleyway, twitchell, alleyway, especially those providing access to the rear terraced housing leading to rear of, larrup to cover with mardy, grumpy, sulky, mash to make a pot of tea, piggle to pick at a scab spot or a skin irritation, puddle drunk, intoxicated, a stupid, puther to pour out uncontrollably, usually of smoke, steam or dust, rammel, rubbish, waste, scraton, to cry, crying, sile, rain heavily, snap and a snap, lunch, food, tekentar, work, snide, covered, infested, was attic, fool. There are also word forms that occur in standard English but which have additional meanings in some of the varieties considered here. Bonny in many dialects, this has the sense of looking well, often referring to a healthy plumpness. In Derby, Leicester and Nottingham, there still also exists a transferred sense of plump, robust, stout or overweight derived from this sense. Cf. Samuel Johnson's comment that it seems to be used in general conversation for plump, as cited in Ned Bonny to be as fast stuck, courty, goz, fn, fast, toughies, sweets, confectionery, badly, hungover, ill, croaker, doctor, croggy, and crossbar ride, two up on the crossbar of a bicycle, duck's next bottle of lemonade, oaky ice cream, see hokey cokey, potter plaster cast, sucker iced lolly, tabs, ears, jack to yank, cause can you. The greeting, now then, is still in use in Lincolnshire and northeast Derbyshire, used where other people might say hello. Then mate can also be heard instead of now then mate. People from Leicester are known in the popular holiday resorts Kegness as Chisets, due to their expression for how much is it when asking the price of goods in shops. Dialect variations within the political region. Southern Northamptonshire. Northamptonshire is in the East Midlands region, defined in the late 20th century, and has historically harboured its own dialect comparable to other forms of East Midlands English, particularly among the older generation. However, more recently its linguistic distinctiveness has significantly eroded due to influences from the western parts of East Anglia, the West Midlands, and the South, as well as the Watford Gap isogloss, the demarcation line between Southern and Northern English accents. The Danelaw split the present county into a Viking North and a Saxon South. This is quite plainly heard, with people in the South speaking more like people from Oxfordshire or Cambridgeshire, and people in the North sounding more like people from Leicestershire. Corbyite. Also of note is the anomalous dialect of Corbyite spoken around Corby in the north of Northamptonshire, which reflects the migration of large numbers of Scottish and Irish steel workers to the town during the 20th century. The dialect is often compared to Glaswegian, Derbyshire. The dialect of Colville in Leicestershire is said to resemble that of Derbyshire because many of the Colville miners came from there, and the dialect of Glossop in northwest Derbyshire has similarities with Manchester dialect due to its close geographical position to Greater Manchester. The dialect of the Derbyshire Dales is near identical to that of the bordering North Staffordshire, Lincolnshire and East Lincolnshire. Lincolnshire has long been an economically relatively homogeneous, less industrial, more heavily agricultural county, and is in part naturally separated by the River Trent, divorcing its largest market town, the city of Lincoln, from Nottinghamshire, east of the Lincolnshire Wolds, in the southern part of the county. The Lincolnshire dialect is closely linked to the Fens and East Anglia and, in the northern areas of the county. The local speech has characteristics in common with the speech of the East Riding of Yorkshire. This is largely due to the fact that the majority of the land area of Lincolnshire was surrounded by sea, the Humber, marshland, and the wolds. These geographical circumstances permitted little linguistic interference from the East Midlands dialects until the 19th century, when canal and rail routes penetrated the eastern heartland of the country. Nottinghamshire minor variations still endure between Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. Though all native speakers sound similar, there are noticeable differences between the accents of residents of, for example, Nottingham and Derby, or Mansfield and Bolsover, which is pronounced locally as Bose. In North Nottinghamshire, the dialect is very similar to South Yorkshire, including the occasional use of the pronoun thou amongst older people. See Stephen Wiles's book A Scab is No Son of Mine for examples of speech of the worksop area. Counties in which East Midlands English is spoken: Cambridgeshire, Derbyshire, Leicestershire, Lincolnshire, Nottinghamshire, Northamptonshire, Rutland, Staffordshire. Bibliography. Evans, Arthur Benoni. Leicestershire Words, Phrases and Sayings, ed. by Sebastian Evans. London, Trubner for the English Dialect Society. Wright, Joseph. The English Dialect Dictionary. 6 vols. Oxford University Press. Skeet, W. W. Derbyshire Lead Mining Terms, by T. Houghton, 1681. Derbyshire Mining Terms, by James Orr, 1802. London, N. Trubner for the English Dialect Society. Mander, James. The Derbyshire Miners' Glossary. Bakewell, printed at the Minerva Press, for the author by G. Nall. Pegg, Samuel. 2 Collections of Derbycisms, ed. by W. W. Skeet and Amp. T. Hallam. London, for the English Dialect Society by H. Froude. Oxford University Press.